You're listening to Cards to the Moon, a podcast about trading cards from both a collector and investor perspective. We hope you'll stick around for the ride as we take a deep dive into the state of the hobby, share some hot takes, hopefully some useful advice, and fun stories along the way. Hey guys, welcome back to Cards to the Moon. This is episode 218, and it is another Friday episode. My name is Clark from 5cardguys.com and 5cardguys on Instagram. With me co-hosting as usual is Hyung of Integrity Sports Cards and John, who is Trade You at Recess. All right, off the top today, I don't know if you heard, but there's been at least a couple of instances where baseball fans who also collect have been able to trade with actual MLB players. And the two that comes to mind is Bobby Witt Jr., who I believe gave a signed baseball bat to a fan who had one of his one-of-one cards. All right. And then there's also Evan Carter, who received a one-of-one World Series autograph card of his after making a deal with the fan who had tagged him on Instagram. So what do you guys think of that? You know, MLB players getting involved in the hobby this way, interacting with their fans, and do you have any one-of-ones that you can potentially DM to see if they would make a trade with you?
I personally think it's awesome that, you get these young big league superstars engaging, because the experience is part of it, right? And, it gives more, I think, allure to chase kind of those players and collect those players, knowing that it's a very demanded thing. Even just rare cards of, let's just say, Jordan Lawler or Bobby Witt Jr., that's the first place you're going to. It's like, hey, I'm going to try to make a deal with these guys rather than just sell the card. And I think it's a super cool experience that's not necessarily listed in packs of cards or anything, but it's just the way the hobby is. And I think Fanatics has to, have something to do with that as well, giving, them more incentive to partner up with a company like Topps. And I think, I think there's nothing bad about it at all. If I hit a one-of-one, like an insert, that I'm like, oh, I don't even know if I want this. It's perfect place to liquidate, right? There's a demand for it. So it only helps,
For sure.
Yeah. It's definitely a cool story. I think if anybody had a one-of-one and tagged a major league player and they responded, not only but responded in a way like, hey, I'm actually interested in getting that card off you. Let's meet up or something like that. That's pretty cool. Like, I mean, I feel bad now. I feel like Bobby Witt and Evan Carter are just going to get pestered nonstop now. Like everybody's going to tag them on every card. Hey, I got another one-of-one of
Hey, that's smart. They don't have to do the chase.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. But you can expect some responses like, nah, I'm good. that one-of-one is trash. I'm good.
Yeah.
No, but sure. Yeah, overall, it's a cool story. I think that's what the hobby loves seeing. How can you hate on that? I think that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, I mean, I just wanted to highlight that story because I obviously, it is a cool story, and I think I asked if we think this is going to be some kind of trend. I think it could be because we see more people or more players getting into the hobby, right? Corbin Carroll's already big into the hobby, Evan Longoria, and beyond baseball as well. And, you could just imagine these scenarios happening in the future too, right? So, the more athletes get involved, I think it's just a natural progression of things to see.
We talked about that last week with Perfect Game, or a couple of weeks ago, how important that deal with Perfect Game is. And now you discuss stuff like this, they're in Topps is in their face when they're like 12 years old, so these guys are the next generation of people are going to be, wanting to collect, or they're involved in collecting right now. So it's a big part of their childhood. So I think it's almost like, preparing them to, have this type of a desire. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It does sound a little creepy though. You gotta wait till they get older though, right? Like
Absolutely.
You get a perfect game card, they're 12, and you DM them, hey, do you want to meet up and trade your one-of-one card to this kid? But maybe in the future, if they become a superstar player. Do you guys have any one-of-ones? I don't have any one-of-ones personally, but Hyung, I feel like you do, yeah?
I did. I had a lot of one-on-ones actually, and it's definitely not great in terms of liquidity, but there is a small niche of collectors that people overpay for some of that stuff. But yeah, I've pulled a few one-of-ones, which is crazy. Nothing absolutely gigantic, but yeah,
players.
I pulled a 101 Black Shimmer of Edward Garcia. It was a Bowman first. We got a Ke'Bryan Hayes Masterpieces rookie Superfractor. I had the Bo Naylor Superfractor first chrome. I had a Luis Robert Bowman Sterling Superfractor. Pulled a John Smoltz Superfractor in Stadium Club. Right. That was a cool one. Just random stuff, random one-of-one stuff. A platinum Jameson Taillon. It was a Canada flag patch, which was pretty cool. Nice. Just because he's Canadian as well. So yeah, platinums are a little boring. That's why we always make fun of them. It's like you don't even know that you pulled a one-of-one. It's just like, oh, this is a one-of-one.
Even the players were like, I'm good with the platinum.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? You should DM Taillon and Smoltz and see.
Yeah, maybe if they want it. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think Will, our friend Will, a friend of the podcast, of course, he's got a one-of-one of Manny Machado. That'd be cool if he could arrange a trade with him, So
he pulled that, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he did.
Yeah, recently. Yeah. Nice.
So Will, DM Machado, see what happens. And then if you make a trade, come back on the pod, tell us the story. All right, let's move on to our discussion of this episode for Friday. It is going to be about Top Series 2. It's always exciting when Top Series 1 and 2 are released, especially for baseball card collectors. And, Top Series 1 I thought was a really fun rip. The cards look great. And other than the first card fiasco, it looked like Fanatics was doing a good job marketing this year's flagship set. Now, this week is, of course, the release of 2024 Top Series 2. I'm definitely going to pick up a box. And it seems like another fun rip with a lot of different inserts and chase cards available. So just want to get your quick thoughts on Top Series 2. And what I can do is list some of the cards in this set, and you tell me if you like it or if it's just a pass for you. All right. So let's start with the one that everyone seems to be talking about. The Jackson Holliday SP Variation Fun Face cards, which is, of course, an homage to Billy Ripken's F-Face card. And I thought there was only 2 or 3 variations, but there's a bunch more when I did my research. I don't know if you're aware, but there's a black box variation, where it's covered with a black box. There's a black scribble, a white scribble, a white bat knob, and there's a cut card variation. I don't know if you've seen that. That's kind of wild, but it's like a literal cut halfway into the card.
Really?
Yeah, and it's going for a couple $1,000s, or it's listed for that much anyways.
Wow. That's crazy. I didn't know about the variations.
So yeah, let's start there. What do you think about the Jackson Holliday Fun Face cards?
I love the idea. I think it's genius. I think Topps did a great job marketing this and, connecting it back to the hobby. I know it could be kind of, to the purist, they might say, oh, they're trying to replicate something that's, original to the hobby, so it's not that original. But I like it just because Jackson Holliday has a huge following right now, just in general, just him being his status of prospect. And yeah, I think as long as they keep it super SSP, that's my thing. I don't want it flooded. That would be the only downside. Even if it was an SP, I'd be pretty disappointed. And just based on the sales, I think it's more of an SP than an SSP, which is unfortunate. I thought it would do really well if it was an SSP, just because, like I said, years down the road, when you have all these mass printed Jackson Holliday cards, what is going to be a really cool card? And I think something with a really, really high demand, low supply card, I think it would make sense, right? So yeah, that's my only thing with that. I love everything about it. I just hope that they do keep the print runs low on them, or if I'm sure they've already printed them. So I hope that it's lower. I'm just seeing too many on eBay. That's what I'm concerned about.
Agreed.
Yeah, I think it's pretty cool. I have nothing bad to say about it. That's a pretty creative way to tap into the hobby, like what the hobby likes about the hobby, right? What people like about the hobby. So I think it's great. I'm sure there's some people who are going to hate on it, and I think Young's right. Like the execution of it being like an SSSP or greater, like super rare, I think would have been probably the best way to go. But it's not bad. It's still pretty cool. I like how they're attempting to be a lot more creative in the chase. Like this type of chase, one-offs, pretty cool. Like, again, homages to like the OG hobby likes and dislikes of the world. I think this type of chase is so much better than creating brand new parallels, red sparkle, and like none of that. Like I will take this kind of stuff all day long over additional parallels and more so finding these creative ways to add chase to the product. I'm for it. Love it 100%.
Yep. Not much more to add there. If you're in terms of buying and selling, your best bet is probably, if you hit, you should probably sell. It's probably at the highest right now. And then you could probably buy back in a lot cheaper later on when you see, to Hyung's point, more cards being listed on eBay. But I wish that's what we knew more of, how lower the print run is actually, But yeah, anyway, next one, signature tunes. I think we mentioned this on a previous podcast, but it is a new subset. I guess it's official now, but it features dual on-card autographs of MLB stars and the artists who made their walk-up song. So we talked about Kyle Tucker last week in our pick one. There's a dual auto of Kyle Tucker and Travis Scott. I guess he uses a Travis Scott song for his walk-up music. What do you think about signature tunes? You like the idea?
I'm going to put on the business Fanatics cap right now.
Okay.
I think it's genius.
Oh,
and here's why. One, Daddy Yankee and Juan Soto. Okay.
Ooh, yeah.
Daddy Yankee has 50 million followers just on Instagram. I think all his platforms over 100 million. And Travis Scott, same thing, 50 plus million followers, maybe 100 million beyond like all his platforms. So to me, now what you're doing is, and in the influencer world and marketing world and digital marketing world, it's all about collabs now, right? Because now you're cross, almost like contamination, where you're taking somebody else's crowd and you could influence them in certain ways, right? So I think from a Fanatic standpoint, it is genius, because whether you like it or not, this is their whole strategy. How are they going to 10x the hobby? It's not through hobbyists that they're going to spend 10 times more money than they are. Of course, breakers are. If you're breaking, you're probably spending more now. But
Right.
yeah, like they expand through digital marketing and social media collabs. So from a business perspective, now think of Daddy Yankees fans, for instance. They're now mingled into the hobby. They have something to look forward to. What happens with supply and demand here? We're not like, from a hobby perspective, for sure. None of us are like, oh, really want that Daddy Yankee Soto autograph. But if it's in front of 50 million people, I guarantee you there's going to be a bunch of people that want that card. Right? And that wouldn't have existed before. And that, to me, that's genius. Like, that's such an easy move for Fanatics. That's literally a call, a conversation saying, let's collab, whatever the negotiation and contract was with Travis Scott. And they're not picking up no unknown musician here. They're doing this intentionally, because they have hundreds of millions of followers at the end of the day. End of story. Right? Mm-hmm. And to me, that's a win from a business standpoint. Now, I'll put on my hobby lenses. Okay. Am I going to want this card particularly? Probably not. It won't even probably be in my top 10 list. Right? But that doesn't mean that there's no value, or if I pulled it, I would be thrilled because there's a huge audience now that knows about this. Right? So it's all the perspective and lens that you kind of put on it. But I think it's genius.
Yeah, good point.
Yeah, great points. I think I didn't even, when I quickly saw this or heard the question, I didn't really think of it from that point, but that makes a lot of sense, Young. Like, I would definitely agree from a Fanatic standpoint. It's a pretty good move. I think, if listeners are listening to Hyung's point, and they're going to be like, oh, what are you talking about? Like 50 million, music fans, like they're going to all of a sudden like sports cards. I think it's not really that. There are, and we know this, even based on our friends group, not just sports card friends group, but like overall friends groups. Like a lot of older heads, a lot of people, like the majority of us collected some kind of cards when we're young, right? Mm-hmm. And I think this is just another way of, you're not trying to attract music fans into sports cards. You're trying to attract those that had some sports cards back in the day. They're also big music fans now. And maybe this is their little nudge back into like everybody needs a bit of a nudge back into the sports card world, right? Like get them back interested into something that they used to be interested in the past, right? Like if we could do that amongst our friend group, like our chat group would be 100 people deep, 150 people deep, right? So I think it's a great strategy to try and lure, even amongst Travis Scott fans and Daddy Yankee fans, even if they were to bring in a couple of thousand new sports card fans, old sports card fans back into the hobby, like that's a huge win for Fanatics, right? And I think Hyung's right about that. Like that's their move with this signature tunes thing. It makes sense to me. And then again, on the flip side, from a collector standpoint, it's not really the biggest chase or anything crazy, but I still think it's pretty cool. Like there might be some end users that are really big Daddy Yankee fans and really big Juan Soto fans, and this would be like the ultimate chase card for them. That's cool, but I think for most of us, this wouldn't be on our radar. But overall, from a big picture perspective for the hobby, yeah, it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, I think it's going to be pretty niche, right? Like, there's going to be people that absolutely love the athlete, like Juan Soto, and are, if they are a huge Daddy Yankee fan, oh, this is like a must card for them. Do you know what I mean? So I feel like in the future, if they continue this subset, I could see a demand for these kind of cards if you're a fan of both sides. So, how about if there was a Drake and any Toronto athlete?
That'd be pretty cool. I think, yeah, that'd be great.
I would be
Toronto
interested in
fans
that
would be
card.
all over that, for sure.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
So it could be something like that in the future where it just makes sense that people would want it because it's,
And the pop culture that we talked about too, how, there is opportunity in that pop culture market, and how they're going to kind of blend that together is to be determined. So, yeah,
for sure. So, yeah, it depends on the matchup. But, yeah, I think there's absolutely opportunities there. To tell you the truth, Travis Scott fans, they'll probably be like, who the heck's Kyle Tucker?
Yeah.
If the hobby's saying
it's a shame it's Kyle
the
Tucker.
hobby's saying, who the hell's Kyle Tucker?
At least it'd be Fernando Tatis or something.
Yeah. So, yeah, it'd be much better if it was Tatis, I guess. But that was what I thought about first when I saw that it was Tucker and Scott matched up together. All right, let's go through a couple more quickly. First pitch autographs of various athletes and celebrities who threw out MLB first pitches, which includes Victor Wembanyama. So what do you think about these cards?
Yeah, like I'm going to hear it from both sides, gimmick on the hobby side, but at the end of the day, it's the same strategy. It's just expanded. I'm going to, probably list this, that it's all one strategy that we're talking about. And that's what they're doing. They're infiltrating collabs with bigger names that now can drive the eyes and attention on the brand itself, right? So for me, it makes sense. You could do so many things with even like CJ Stroud, Victor Wembanyama. Like there are things that make it very valuable that they're just adding to it. So like I said, from a business standpoint, Fanatics is playing the game and they're playing it really well. And it feels like that's what we're doing. We're just calling the play-by-play, in the bigger picture in like the last 3-4 years or whatever we've been doing this, or 3 years. That's what we've been doing, is like, what's Fanatics doing next? And as they do it, it's not like, throwing things on the wall that see what sticks. It's like, no, every move is intentional. And they're getting better and better every single week. And it's very transparent. You see where they were, even from the marketing packaging when we talked about Series 1 to where they are now. And you're seeing, tremendous amounts of improvement from a business standpoint, from a branding standpoint, from a marketing standpoint. All that, they're doing a phenomenal job. And yeah, they get an A+ on that department. But obviously on, when you put on the hobby hat, it's different. You're going to find complaints about, why can't you get the centering right? Why can't you, do the little basic things that we as hobbyists want, right? So yeah, it's all in the eye of the beholder, right? So that's why on the flip side, if you're always negative about the hobby, maybe, hey, see it in the other side. You might enjoy it a little more, right? So there's all different perspectives, and none of it's right. That's the whole point, right? It's what you make out of it. So
yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I think I don't mind it. Is it kind of gimmicky? Definitely. But they're kind of dipping their toes into sort of the pop century, like getting some. How can we best merge celebrities with baseball? So I like the attempt. A lot of people will be like, oh, here we go again. They're just trying to take advantage of their rights to Victor Wembanyama and just more and more Wemby autos,
Right.
And I could see that. That's how I feel when I first saw it. I was like, oh yeah, they're just trying to take advantage of Wemby. Like, this is like a poor excuse to continually pump out Wemby autos. So I could understand the hate and the criticism it could receive. At the same time, as a collector, if we're ripping this and we got a Wemby auto,
heck yeah,
you can't tell me we wouldn't be happy. Not that for our personal collections, but the fact that the ROI is going to be monstrous for us. Like, so you can't, as much as you can hate on the fact that they're taking advantage of Victor Wemby autos and yada, 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 that just adds more chase to the product. And it means more people are going to go out there and break Series 2, right? And that's ultimately what Fanatics is trying to do. So, yeah.
Yeah. No, totally agree with you too. I love it because, I'm a big Allen and Ginter fan, and it kind of reminds me of what they do, with their sets. They add like the non-sports celebrity autograph cards, right? And this kind of reminds me of that. This is like another way of doing it, It's tied to the first pitch, and like, it'll be kind of fun to see now, right? When in future games, Will Ferrell made a first pitch, or Kevin Hart, like, then you might anticipate, these guys are going to get their cards for next year's set. So, I think Fanatics is just a marketing genius in that sense. They're positioning themselves for the future that way too. So, yeah, I love first pitch autos. I'm going to end off the segment with just naming a few other things to look out for Top Series 2 that you can look forward to and hope to, I guess, hit. But baseball stars, they used to have just dual autos. Apparently they have triple autos now in this set. And other chase cards include dual autographs of Ichiro and Ohtani. That'll be a big card. Hyung, you mentioned this. CJ Stroud and Wemby have a dual auto as well. And then this is kind of cool. I don't know if they've done this in previous sets. I don't know if you guys know, but rookie patch autos featuring game-worn patches and on-card autos of players like Ellie De La Cruz, Jason Dominguez, and other key rookies. Like I always feel like Topps flagship was always sticker autos for the longest time. Right?
I think it still is. Like I was looking for game used on-card autos in the 2024 Topps Series 2 set, and I seen Jason Dominguez had a Major League Materials patch auto, rookie patch auto, but it was a sticker, right? So I didn't see any on-card autos for that, but I'd be interested because I think, like we talked about this before, Fanatics strength is memorabilia. So why do the patches look like napkins though? Like, you know what I mean? It's like, it doesn't make sense. It's like, that's where you step up your game. And just to throw it in there, you talk about patch autos, it has so much potential at being flagship. And they put the window size of the Topps patch autos are literally like 1 inch by 1 inch. It's like, expand that a little bit, you know, make it a window. Like, so the patch shows it's not like a little 1 inch squared of freaking, you know, napkin patches. Like, and I'm hoping that Fanatics change that. And on card, they need to be on card auto, right?
Yes. I'm glad you brought those points up because we're showing too much love, I thought, at the beginning of this episode. so there's some balance there. John, you have any critiques to add?
Oh man, if we're gonna go down that, you guys know my critique. Like, get rid of, you know, sticker autos completely.
Right.
And it has to be game worn patch, like 100%. Like, enough of anything other than game worn patch. Why bother? You know. And at this point, Hyung's right. Even if it is game worn patch, why do a tiny little square of a white napkin still? Like, we're tired of that. Like, don't consider that a chase. Like, it's got to be like a nice looking patch, you know. Even the basic patches should have either multiple colors or some sort of stitching or something that's different than just a white napkin. So away with white napkins, 100%.
100% agree. The other ones that are returning from last year's sets include the Golden Mirror image variation short prints. That was pretty popular. My favorite, social media follow back redemptions. They still have those. And home field advantage and legendary home field advantage case hits are back, which, you know, listeners also will know that I finished the regular home field advantage in the first year they offered it. So I'm hoping that the first year offering has more value than, you know, the subsequent years, but we'll see. I'm kind of losing track because they repeat players each year. So
they have a pretty good rookie set though this year. Clark, just letting you know, that might be a good set to like build.
Get back into it.
They have some really cool rookies in there.
All right, I'll check out the checklist after this pod. Anyway, that's a wrap for this Friday edition of Cards to the Moon. We appreciate you guys, and we'll have a brand new episode for you on Tuesday. Talk to you then. Bye. Hey, thanks for listening to Cards to the Moon. We'd really appreciate you subscribing to our podcast wherever you listen to your podcasts. And you can also connect with each of us on Instagram at 5cardguys, or you can follow Hyung at Integrity Sports Cards, or John at TradeU at Recess. You can also check us out at 5cardguys.com. Thanks again, and hope to connect soon.